walk into this room at your own risk, because it leads to the future.
Is there anyone that, if given the chance, wouldn't travel back in time? Not only could you fix what once went wrong, you could bring back a lot of good toys. That '69 Dodge Charger you've always wanted because it reminds you of an old TV show? Or maybe make millions of dollars on the stock market. Revisit friends and relatives that have passed away. See historical events with your very own eyes. Watch a speech by John F. Kennedy. Possibly prevent the Hindenburg disaster. Or even stop Abraham Lincoln from getting shot. Which, according to the Twilight Zone, can't be done.
And Lincoln's going to be there. And it's April 14th, 1865, isn't it?
Have you ever wondered if time travel is real, or if it was real, what would the rules be? There's been a ton of science fiction novels, movies, and television shows where each story seemed to follow its own time travel laws, or appeared to just make up rules as they went along. I'd like to look at some of these more common ideas along with some good old-fashioned speculation. Are you ready to go down the rabbit hole, or should I say wormhole?
Good night, future boy! No, wait!
What is time? Where did time begin? To answer that question, we need to go back in time. We measure time by days and nights, hours, minutes, and seconds. In the beginning, there was no night or day, only black emptiness all around. Imagine nothing exists. There's no gases, no molecules, no atoms, no energy of any sort.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and the darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And he divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day.
Imagine going back to the very first day of creation, and the implications of that to society would be staggering, beyond imagination. If time travel were a real possibility, then there would be rules as would be expected from an orderly creation. We must face the very real possibility, of course, that time travel itself is outlawed. Otherwise, it could very well cause time and space to go into utter chaos. But we want to explore time travel as a fact, so we'll use our imagination to explore what if. Is time travel even possible? Well, Albert Einstein did at least theorize that we could travel into the future. See, if you build yourself a rocket ship or a spacecraft and you went on a journey into space going faster than the speed of light, then according to Einstein, when you arrive back on Earth, you would only be a couple of hours older, while everyone else would be years older.
Believe it? Or not?
But what about traveling backward? That's what everybody wants to do, right? So, well, you'd probably need a wormhole or a machine that could harness a vast amount of energy, a lot of energy. But since most of us aren't smart enough to build a time machine, I guess we'll have to pretend we have a genius friend. Okay, so what if we did go back and we changed something in our own past? What happens to our future self, if anything? Now, there's a story that I heard that really puts this idea into perspective from the 1980 film The Final Countdown, starring Kirk Douglas and Martin Sheen. In the movie, there's a modern aircraft carrier that goes through time, through a time storm, and ends up on the day of the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941. The crew's faced with the question, do we stop the attack on Pearl Harbor, and what exactly would the ramifications be? Now, Sheen's character, Warren Lasky, asked this question, and this is what I was talking about. What if you were to go back in time and kill your own grandfather before he even got married or had any children whatsoever? If that happened, how could you ever be born? And if you were never born, how could you go back in time to eventually kill your own grandfather? And so you have what time travel stories like to refer to as a paradox. Having contemplated questions like this as a science fiction writer myself on the Time Cruisers novel series, available at Amazon right now, let's say you go back in time and change anything from the past. Theoretically, this could cause you to cease to exist, or to have never traveled back to the past to begin with. But perhaps, no matter what you do, nothing can change the fact that you have been running around in the past at some point. It stands as a fixed event in time. If this is the case, then you have, by all intents and purposes, created a separate timeline. Basically, you've created another road, another path into which your life would flow. That idea is not without its problems, though, because it assumes that you have basically created two separate lives for yourself, which means there are two of you with two separate sets of memories. Marvel Comics and the Marvel Cinematic Universe follow the rule that if one goes back into time and changes something, it automatically creates a divergent timeline.
If you travel to the past, that past becomes your future, and your former present becomes the past, which can't now be changed by your new future.
When I first heard that, I had no idea what he was trying to say. It takes a lot of thought to understand time travel rules.
Prior to this point in time, somewhere in the past, the timeline skewed into this tangent, creating an alternate 1985.
But of course, there's the other aspect of time travel, and that's just being able to see and hear sights and sounds that no longer exist. Who's to say you can't grab a copy of Action Comics #1 and take it back to the present, sell it for $1 million? If we are unable to alter our past, even with the unlikely creation of a time machine, then I guess we better work really hard to make sure our futures go as well as possible. Don't take anything for granted. Perhaps time simply occurs once, and that's the end of it. Even if you manage to go back in the past and mess around, perhaps you could not be able to, say, kill your grandfather, no matter how hard you tried. After all, he did live long enough to get married. He did live long enough to have children. It's a fact that it happened. It's a set point, a group of events that cannot be changed. In this case, a time traveler is nothing more than a visitor, a spectator of what has happened, and anything that the traveler does was part of the original timeline already. Now, what about meeting yourself in the past? Science fiction has several possibilities. In the DC Comics that I grew up reading back in the day, if a person went back to a time where they already existed, they would become phantoms. This happened to Superman on a number of occasions. Now, in the film Time Cop with Van Damme, if you as much as shook hands with your younger self, you would die a very gory death.
Same matter can occupy same space. I'm still kicking. I must be on Broadway.
Instantaneously. Now, in Back to the Future, a person could just hang out unseen from their younger self and it'd be all okay. Now, if I remember correctly, Doc Brown was very concerned about creating time paradoxes that would destroy the universe, and meeting yourself was one of those things you really didn't want to do.
I foresee two possibilities. One, coming face to face with herself 30 years older would put her into shock and she'd simply pass out. Or two, the encounter could create a time paradox, the result of which could cause a chain reaction that would unravel the very fabric of the space-time continuum and destroy the entire universe. Granted, that's a worst-case scenario. The destruction might in fact be very localized, limited to merely our own galaxy.
When in the 2002 movie The Time Machine, which was directed by Simon Wells, the great-grandson of H.G. Wells, the main character, played by Guy Pearce, went back into time over and over again, trying to save the love of his life. only to have her die in every attempt. Thus, when it's your time to go, it's your time and nothing can change it, not even a time machine.
You built your time machine because of Emma's death. If she had lived, it would never have existed. So how could you use your machine to go back to save her?
If you like the idea of parallel worlds, I suggest watching the first couple of seasons of Sliders. It's about a young science student that creates a handheld device that opens a portal into other worlds. It's a lot of fun for the first couple of seasons, and then it starts just getting really weird after that. I think that show came out in the 90s, if I'm not mistaken. So, that's about the end of it. I'm running out of, time. So, if you would like me to make more videos about time travel, let me know in the comments below, and let me know what you thought about this video, and hit that bell and subscribe first, then hit that bell for notifications. That'd be really helpful for our channel. I appreciate it. Thanks, and have a great day.
Roads, where we're going, we don't need roads.
Ancient America, I'm broadcasting you from the future, your future. My name is Liberty Ace. I'm an American, but I'm not from your world. It's complicated. Look, your timeline, your world is in terrible danger. As you can see behind me, your future's become a wasteland. There are escaped prisoners from my world, and I suspect they may be the cause of your world's destruction. But I'm not sure even how they got to your time yet. All I can tell you is I'm going to figure out how to get to you, and I'm going to do everything I can to bring these villains to justice. You have my word on that. On my world, America stands for justice and freedom for all mankind. I'm certain it's true in yours as well. Don't worry, I'm coming to your time as soon as possible. Liberty Ace, out. Hey, did I sound like Christopher Reeve?
No.
Come on, just a little bit. I mean, Sean Connery maybe? Subscribe to this channel for future transmissions from Liberty Ace.